Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
Hello and welcome. It's Glenn Brooks, Vibrant Living Network. And I wanted to introduce Dr. Gail Randall.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Or I don't know. I like to start from not knowing. I'm going to go first. I gave someone an exercise yesterday. The next 3 days, I want you to give up the known. And we have her practice. She's get up and she's going to be walking. And I sometimes have people hula hoop, by the way, even if they haven't hula hooped in years. And so it's one of my beginning practices for people hula hooping.
Very fun.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Actually, the first time I hula hooped was actually 16 years ago, and I was in my library, and when the hula hoop didn't drop. It was like a miracle, the infinite infinity. I couldn't believe it didn't drop. And then it was like I couldn't wait to transfer that to my clients, because I felt like, wow, when you're in the infinity, you see things differently. Which I want to acknowledge what you said to me 17 months. I don't know. I got us to God. Our linear time clock doesn't exist to me. So I don't think about a relationship in any linear way, but I realize that you talked about spiritual seeing. And so spiritual seeing kind of began for me. And on today's format, I wanted to explore with you guys, the wonder of imagery and how to use imagery relationally. How to use imagery relationally. And how, if you will, what's that?
Very powerful.
Yeah. Well, actually, why don't you go ahead? So I want my experience, and welcome Sherry. Sherry Marquez, the dog mystic, is also going to be in extra many movies in the new year. I see it, because every film deserves a dog mystic. So welcome, Sherry.
I like it. Hello, welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in Florida here.
It's a beautiful day I'm in northern Vermont as I speak to you, and it's absolutely blissful today.
Must be nationwide. It's awesome in California too.
No, the vibration's good. So yesterday I went to have lunch with my son. He was in a packed house at Harvard speaking with Dr. Cornel West.
Wow.
And he said, Dad, he goes, during the talk, he goes, Dr. West fist bumped me several times. It was packed in one room, then another room. And I realized my children, my children have helped me. They've helped me with unscripted power and vibrant speaking. And my wife, Donna, has done the same thing. And I've been really opening up to the power of the family. I picked up one of my heroes wrote a book called The Power of the Family by Dr. Paul Pearsall. He wrote another book called The Heart Code. He's talking about imagery today. So in the book, The Heart Code, he had leukemia. He was diagnosed with leukemia. And he talks about in The Heart Code how you could actually send imagery back. So when he was getting radioactive treatment, some kind of treatment, he was talking about sending back the energy, like sending back a light from himself that was the healing light that would go through his body to the treatment and eradicating it. And so I want you to comment on that. I want you to share your experience with imagery and how you, when people come in and they're in the trance or the fear, like right now, everyone today, it's like once this whole coronavirus thing hit, there's a lot of people that are going to start to contract. Share with us your experience. When someone comes to see you and they have an appearance, they have something that they're concerned about, how do you use imagery, the healing power of imagery in your work with people to dissolve the terror and the fear, as well as not to increase it by their own resistance and pictures in their mind of the worst yet to come?
Me? Well, so
yeah, I think so. Wait a second. It says me. I usually call you Dr. Renner. We could call you me today. It's me. Yes.
Dr. Me. So
Dr. Me.
It's definitely not all about me at all. It's but what I do is I get them to what I call look through the other end of the binoculars. So, I just flip it over into, this is not a scary thing. This is, maybe this is some kind of gift. Maybe what is the metaphor, like I did with you, what is the metaphor, of that particular thing they're suffering. And I remove the fear by doing that. So if I allow people to understand the metaphor of that illness or that symptom or what it's trying to say to them, it becomes something different than, oh my God, I have cancer or I'm going to die or something like that. It becomes more like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let me look into that, spiritually. And if you can get them to image it spiritually and they can feel that vibration, it actually changes their relationship to it and begins to initiate the healing process.
Mm-hmm. That's a great
It's so interesting what you were saying, Glenn, about the hula hoop not dropping.
Yes.
I'm a sun dancer, and I've sun danced many sun dances. And in one sun dance, I was the first woman ever. I didn't know it at the time. I just know it that the red energy came behind me, and the chief touched me with the eagle feather, and it sent me into the tree. So you run, and you actually hit the tree, and I stuck to the tree. Like, I didn't drop. I stuck to the tree, and I swung around all four directions before I actually, went down. But that's just crazy because I wasn't hanging on to it. It was just like a phenomenon, like you're talking about. But some kind of, magical thing that was going on with energy.
It was a magical pull of the energy, and the tree was feeling your energy and pulling you in for a big hug.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like it was so in love with you, it didn't want to let you go.
Well, my intention was pure, and my heart was open, and and I guess it wanted to. Can you imagine, like an almost 6-foot lady in white regalia with fringe sticking to this tree and then go, with the legs straight out. I didn't even really, they told me later, of course, but swinging all the way around the four directions and then going down softly into the dirt or the sand. And it was beautiful, actually. It felt beautiful. I was just full of light.
But you didn't remember, I
didn't. Oh yes, I remembered. I totally remembered the feeling of it. But I went into vision after that. But if there's any good example of group energy, imagery, it would be suntans, because we all come together to vision new beneficial things for the planet. So it's group form, and that makes it so much more powerful. I mean, it's very powerful personally to image beneficial things for your body if you're healing and things like that, like we talked about first. But group form is just magnified that much more. So I love the idea, Glenn, of group imagery. It's a brilliant idea.
Thank you. Well, it's a big part of the Vibrant Living Challenge. Welcome, Lisa. Lisa LaRose just stepped in the house a moment ago.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello. Welcome.
I call
thank
Lisa
you.
the wise woman of our
Oh, you're so kind. You have no idea how humble I feel that coming from you.
Well, see, it just shows how wise you really are.
Well, I'm looking forward to our live event together so that we can all embrace. I have a feeling we're all going to be stuck together like that tree. You know,
yeah,
there's going to
we can huggy up together. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you know, I have to say, Gail, you always have such a wonderful wisdom that comes in to share because, you know, just last night I was listening to a lecture, and the individual that was speaking was sharing how during the time of like an accident, first responders have all said the same thing, that when they are able to say the words to a victim of whatever the trauma is, that the worst of this is over, that it gives them something that they can anchor into and know that from here on out everything's going to be better. And so I think it's so profound that, you know, you share that. And here I was just listening to that exact, just in different words, that exact message that shows how incredibly tuned in. And then our wise leader, Glenn, brings forth the fact that we're all sharing in a group imagery. So thank you very much for inviting me into this circle.
Yeah, a woman had went off the road. She went off the road. She was fine. She was right by a creek, though. It was ice water and ice, and so what was interesting was I kind of got down the hill, right, very close to her, and she opened the door and she was worried about the car. I know that was a last thing on my mind, you know. I thought, oh, she's worried about the car. And I said, well, just take my hand. We'll get up on the road. And it took me a moment to say to her, even though if the car fell in, it was fine. I just wanted to get away from the car. And I'd heard someone, I think it was someone on one of my formats that said that if you're confident, you know, in a situation, you'll transfer that. You know, you'll transfer that, right? So, which has a lot to do with being an imagery exemplifier. And I mean, the first time I experienced that in my life, I was at a professor's lecture, and I went to hear him talk, and he said some amazing things. And I forgot something. He forgot something, and I said, I'll go to get it. And he said, Glenn, your word is as good as gold. And I realized, no, I hadn't heard that before, but it really, that impacted me for, weeks. It was I realized that, I learned later that I was a vision catcher through a psychiatrist that said our whole purpose of meeting, he used to call me Boober, for this Jewish mystic, and he used to say to me, things in the Tao are not, they don't live in the time zone, they live in something different than time. The time the way we relate to it, linear time. And so I got oriented that way. And then I feel like what happened in my life was I call it a relationship tsunami, because I felt like the most precious thing in my life is my family and my wife. And what happened was this thing just turned around. And I was reading one of my mentors, and he says, don't get tricked by the facts. Facts are passing. And I read that, and then I started to practice revisioning. So revisioning is seeing something happen that's disturbing, or you perceive where your peace of mind went away. And this is what I practice with people, the practice of awakened imagination. So in this practice, I started to see my relationship to Donna in a way that was bigger than time, and then I felt grateful about it. And so the sort of feeling this the gratefulness of it. And by the way, this is the physical practice. I'll give you guys a physical practice. It's not a formula, but you could practice it. So you get up in the morning, and basically you sit, straight. You sit straight. The idea is to sit in the vertical and let it be easy. Exhale 3 times. And when you exhale 3 times, see the situation again. Revision it. So if something really upsets you, you see it again anew. Now, the relational imagery I had with Dr. Randall, she came in and did the imagery with me. And so if you have someone to do this with who loves and cherishes you, in the Kabbalah, if there's going to be a divorce and someone has the idea of a divorce, the idea is you meet someone like Dr. Randall or Sherry or Lisa, and you ask them to stand in the vision and seeingness of your marriage. So a person could do that. Oh, by the way, you bury your rings for 3 days. You bury your rings, and then you put them on after the blessing. So in this situation, you get up in the morning when you're doing it solo, although it's never really solo, because when you do a practice in the big mind or in the tree of life, which is beyond the tree of knowledge, because we only know so much. So you basically exhale 3 times, and you see it again. And you practice this for 3 days, 14 days, and 21 days, which I did. And then I did that for years, actually. I did this practice. And I realized the humble part is you don't know when sometimes, but it's not necessarily in a linear time. So when I practiced that with Gail, I practiced that with her, but I went through a period, my outer mind was so insecure. Because our outer mind deals in facts and survival. Your brain deals in facts and survival. Your spiritual, the big mind, deals in a relationship with life that's way beyond time. And so when we rest and surrender, it allows our immune system, nervous system to recalibrate. In other words, we start to feel at ease again. We start to feel that sense of settling. And so pretty much I would do that with Gail. I would talk to her, and without me saying what my fear was, she would address it. So I get up in the morning, I start the car, I go to play tennis, and I had this fear that something would happen with my eye at the time. And Gail would say, no, it's going to be a day of bright seeing and trust your spiritual vision. Now, I heard it in her voice. It's a feminine voice. It impacted the male aspect in me. I was inspired by her and loved her, and which is our first meeting. If you guys haven't heard it, it's called Miracle Down by the Dumpster, which is my first meeting with Dr. Gail Randall, which is where I was really guided to make a call to Los Angeles, to someone I never met. It always happens this way, by the way. I never met. I didn't so-called know. That's the beginning of the miraculous. You leave the known in willingness. So imagery is the part of us that allows us to see things we usually don't see. So what happened for 14 days and nights, I resaw the situation without any effort. I just would come in and I would see it. And like as an example, I saw that I was supposed to dance in this film that I'm making. It's called The Announcement, which tells the story of this couple that remarries and how this happens and how it happens in this other part of the mind, and the mind that beyond the local mind. So I saw that I was dancing, and I said, God, that's interesting. I didn't expect to be dancing in front of people. So yesterday, there's always a path of action. I called this group, and I said, it was a dance group, and I said, I need to practice with dancers who loved the mission of this film, and they said they were very interested. So the action is when you start to see, and then you get on a path of action. So you start to feel like you could bring this in your life. I'd love you guys to share about imagery. Now, Sherry, if you wanted to share something, I think the part of what dogs do, I don't think this, they do. They bring images and energy into us and also allow us to detoxify. And I do believe, I'm going to be a little mystical here, I do feel they actually clean our auric fields, our energy fields. So my beloved teacher, Dr. Valerie Hunt, said to me that physical bodies, we don't break down at the physical level. We break down at the level of the energy body. And that dogs have this other purpose. Imagery in dogs, Sherry. The dog mystic. I wanted you to have a mystical moment to share about that. Then we'll go to Lisa. And then we'll go to the tallest woman in the house.
Well, I mean, they are mystical just because I do believe that they clear the arc field of the body just by their being, just by their calmness. And I guess in regards to the imagery, maybe it's just the let's say, I guess in my experience, it may be in like a meditative state, just to bring a smile to my face of seeing, like, you know, one of my dogs. So I mean, like, you know, they just to have, like, imagine and put them in your mind to bring a smile and get you out of a negative situation. So so they're just amazing, and even if you're going through a stressful situation, they know, they feel it, and either they lean on you more, or my dog Emma, she paws at me. So, like, she paws, like, literally, with her paw, she grabs my hands and pulls it to her chest.
Wow.
And she's like, come on, cut me now, let's go. I don't care what's going on. You're going to feel so much better. Just pet me. And the proof is there that, like, you know, they reduce the high blood pressure, and it's calming for them as well. So it's a win-win situation no matter what. So,
you know, the imagery that came to me on my Rottweiler, Ben, was I realized sometimes he would exhale really, like, pretty loud. And then I realized I was holding my breath. So I realized that respiration-wise, the dog was kind of educating me.
Breathe. Take it all in. Take a deep breath.
Yeah. That was you know, the culture runs on sympathetic energy, right? So it's sort of like go, go, go. And then the exhale is kind of like it resets your. So that's why when you do the imagery, you exhale 3 times and you sit up, and then you use color as well. So I've been using color. So I'm going to tell you guys a wild story. It's from yesterday. I was telling a couple of women in the sauna. I take sauna, so I went up to this community and I was taking a wood fire sauna, and I was so exuberant about this because I couldn't figure out. I had a meeting yesterday. It was a meeting with a guy. He's a designer. I think it's called the Radiant Elephant. When I looked at the Radiant Elephant, I just thought this was the most beautiful website I'd ever seen. And I read it, and I thought I just had this sense that I could do something with him in telling the story on a series called Being Paid for Who You Are. Had that imagery. So I go to the supermarket, and I saw this blue bottle. This like a, oh God, what kind of? It's like an aqua blue. Just a beautiful bottle. And it says 25th anniversary kombucha. And I stopped drinking kombucha. But it said sacred fluid. And I thought, I'm going to drink this. I'm just drawn to it. And I don't know if it was the kombucha, but I just felt my whole, this is going to sound like from the 1960s here. I just felt my whole frequency change so much that I took a homeopath the day before. I don't know what totally altered me, but it was such an altering feeling. And the bottle, GT, the guy who owns 80% of the kombucha out there, he's a master at telling stories, and the bottle was so beautiful, and it was fun sharing the story. So when you use imagery, be receptive. Like, as an example, when I use imagery, I always practice, and I'm very aware of my hands, because I receive energy from my hands. And when I see out of my, what some people call the third eye, I see things that are not at the level of the problem. And that sort of gives me inspiration. Like with the film, there's all these things to put together. But when I'm seeing, I kind of feel the sense of being guided. And it sort of happened this morning. I was dealing with a legal case, and my lawyer, like out of the blue, called to tell me he was rewriting the whole case. It's called the reconsideration. And I realized I stopped feeling optimistic, and then I realized I kind of went into doubt. I want to talk about doubt. Let's talk about doubt, Gail, because doubt is something that happens during all purification and what people call the illness process. You're very tuned into how to deal with doubt. So doubt comes in when you feel like this is going nowhere, it's only going to get worse. How much you use imagery and where people are coming back and they feel like it's a chronic illness, let's say, and they want to get beyond it? What would you share with them?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person. Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to formula. I wanted to just say, I just was curious because I see you seeing so many people today. I'm sort of wondering, do you exhale
right.
between
well, it's easy. You hear where their doubt is, and then you give them hope. I use the things I know, and then spiritual imagery to allow them to see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, or maybe it's not even a tunnel, the light, the opening, their opportunity. Instead of having the doubt, which is the fear, I turn it into an opportunity for them to heal. And after 40 years, it's just each time it's a different dance, but it's really the same thing. People always go out of here. You can ask Tony and my people. They go, "Oh, I feel better already." And
that's wonderful.
How would they heal so quickly? Well, I do believe that's possible, but I think it's because they have hope. And they're excited about it. They're excited about what's to come because now they're not in that dark place where they feel stuck. They see a path. They see the stones in front of them, and they put one foot out, and they're ready for the adventure.
That's wonderful. Gail, I have never been to your office, and I hope to visit there sometime soon. But I would imagine that the energy that you, from your sun dance that you bring in from the tree and all of the other, your animal connection and all of the other things have created a really powerful place for people to ground into where there is hope and peacefulness and healing, and as well as your beautiful presence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, people love it.
I see a
here.
few pictures on your website of some of the people you work with, so it's neat.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. We're gonna design an imagery that you could use for anything. We're gonna use a specific image for an organic shirt for the dog mystic. We're gonna use imagery for your life, for your bigger life, beyond your mind, beyond your small mind. So life's precious, enjoy it. Stay with us. I'm Glenn Brooks.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is going to help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
All right. I'm going to ask you the question. Are you breathing like the Dalai Lama? You guys exhale 3 times, along with me and the Vibrant Living team. I'm Glenn Brooks. Sherry Marquez is the dog mystic. And through a company called Art for the People, there's 10 people that have made significant campaigns for beautiful purposes. So we're going to make up a T-shirt, an organic T-shirt, to help Sherry blossom her book, which is called the dog mystic, on being in deep tune with your dog, So I'm going to ask the panel, Sherry, and you, let's get some imagery that we send this to Allie. She's an artist as well. So you want to go, Allie? I'm sorry, Allie's going to be with us next week. Sherry, why don't you share some imagery? If you were going to exhale 3 times right now, right? Exhale 3 times right now, and just sort of let your mind clear. You can see colors. You can see an image. What's the image that occurs to you regularly, or it's occurring to you now for this shirt, for the image on the shirt for the dog mystic?
Well, the first is, I guess, like in the middle, it would just be the logo that I came up with. And
share it with people. Share it with people who haven't seen it. What is the logo?
So the logo that we created, it's a peaceful woman's face, and her eyes are closed. She has a little smile on her face, and there's kind of her hair. It looks like leaves, but kind of like, because I have dreadlocks, so my hair is thick and full. So the leaves kind of represent my dreadlocks. So it's just a very peaceful face. And then there's two dogs. One that kind of looks like a terrier that is on the left side of her neck, and then there's another dog on the right side, and that is kind of looks like a fox. So like a Shiba Inu is like the type of dog. And then her neck area is like the face of a jaguar. So the face of a jaguar, and then the nose and the mouth leads into an eagle, and like with the eagle's wings. So when you look at the face,
yes,
or when you look at the logo, it could like, it's almost like an optical illusion, because the eagle's wings could be just like her neck, like not her neck, like her chest area.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that we came up with that is the 4 winds have different animals. So you have the snake, which is shedding everything, like shedding what is no longer is needed. And then you have the jaguar, the hummingbird, and the condor, eagle condor. So instead of using those animals, what I want to do is represent different dog breeds that are representative of what the animals of the 4 winds represent. So it's a beautiful mystical logo that has the peacefulness of my face.
I want to go right to Lisa and Dr. Randall. I just want to give a quote if I can. This is a comment about the logo. This is from Frank from Ojai Park. He said it totally moved my heart. I wagged my tail differently after seeing it. I believe a 5-year-old Saint Bernard. So this is impacting the dog kingdom and humans. Let's go right to Lisa on that one.
Well, actually, I have. Sherry has her own fan club in my house.
Okay.
I have a big German Shepherd who is definitely tuned into her because, you know, she gets, and she's actually in the house with me right now. And, you know, and we could probably have a comment from Miss Calliope because, you know, I had to put the phone on mute because she was sort of howling in applause. Love you, Jay. Huh? Yeah. We'll see if we can get a comment from her. You know, right. she may decide to comment along with Frank, but you know, so far now that she's been put on the spotlight, she's being silent. She didn't want to be silenced by me, but she's very excited. She's wagging her tail, and you know, just very excited that the dog mystic is in the house.
Hello.
So
perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to unite you two in person, but I feel like you're definitely connected on a soul level, reunited. So we'll see when.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you see her. She'll recognize you, I'm sure.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're going to be collecting quotes from dogs, too. Not going to be prejudiced.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Jerry?
I said we're not going to be prejudiced. We're going to take endorsements telepathically from other animals, I guess.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I'm open.
Okay, you're open. I like it.
I'm an open book. No problem. Absolutely. Sherry can interpret for us.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes. Sherry, is it on your website? No, not yet.
Oh, good question. Good question. Is it on your website? Brilliant question.
What is your website?
Yet.
What is your website?
My website is smartpawsdogtraining.com. And then I also have healingpawsguru.com. So that has some healing information as well. So healingpawsguru.com and smartpawsdogtraining.com. So
awesome. So tell me something. What are you somehow connected to the Amazon? You know, I studied with shamans and medicine in the Amazon, and those images are very, very Amazonian. Like the indigenous peoples in the Amazon have those kind of images that you described.
I mean, especially because it has the mystical, like the dog mystic. We were just thinking of it as just a mystical approach to, and I mean, like, you know, I'm very interested in like learning all the information on just the natural beauty of the Amazon, the natural beauty of the Amazon, and the amazing healing plants and animals, and just the natural, like just all natural amazement. So,
well, you picked some of the most profoundly strong totems from the Amazon, the condor and the jaguar and the boa, or the right, or the
we took it from the four directions, and instead of doing the snake and the hummingbird, we just used the jaguar and the eagle, and then used the two dogs instead of the other animals.
They have their own eagles there, and they're huge. They're even larger than the American eagle. The wingspan is up to 8-9 feet sometimes. Just gigantic eagles. Mm-hmm.
They're so amazing. I mean, like, if I can be reincarnated into anything, I would first choose an eagle, and then second would be a spoiled dog.
In my house.
Two different universes.
Or a little bit of both. Maybe a little bit of both.
Spoiled dog.
I get that.
Those seem like two different remedies.
I'm curious, Gail, from when you bring up those things from Sherry's, the different animals from her logo, is there some imagery or some powerful healing that you brought back from the Amazon that you would like to share with the audience that they could anchor into, both Sherry's logo and as well as maybe some powerful healing that you learned regarding those animals?
Well, it's hard to summarize in a very short thing, but I will.
Okay. That would be wonderful.
We did multiple ceremonies. The shaman took me. He said, "You're a shamana. You're going with me." And I was with this group, to make it short, to start a biosustainable farm for Amazonian herbs, which we did. But he took me off for like 3 days to go to all the surrounding villages with him and his son to do healings on all the people. And before that, we did a ceremony with the group that I went with, and we were to quest on what our animal is from the Amazon. And I thought, I'm going to be a jaguar probably, or an eagle, or, the snake, or something really, big. Mm-hmm. And it turned out I was the butterfly, the blue morph butterfly. I don't know if you're beautiful. They're the iridescent blue. And I thought, okay. I thought it would be something really powerful. But my shaman told me that is the most powerful sign, because it's, they're about transformation. And also he'd point to the butterfly, and then he'd point to a picture he had of, Mother Mary or Our Lady Guadalupe, who wears, of course, a blue robe. So it has that divine mother energy as well as the transformation energy. And those butterflies, although they're usually very shy, would follow me everywhere. Wherever we went in the boat, wherever we went, they would follow me. So you have to listen to nature, because nature has a message for you. And Sherry was alluding to that. So the power of transformation, the ancient physicians used the caduceus, the double-stranded caduceus, to transform, to bring energy from the God space into the patient to return life. So that's what it was talking to me about, I believe. So if you listen to nature, it will tell you, give you a message. So, and you can do that right here in your backyard or any place. Go out, see what animal talks to you, and then, if you don't know what it is, look it up or just meditate on it. And oftentimes that inward imagery, Glenn was talking about imagery. Mm-hmm. Instead of like willing an image, allow the image to come to you.
Yeah.
And it will speak to you about your own path, your own soul path or message.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's like,
sometimes they show. Oh, go ahead, Sherry, please.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes they show up in unexpected ways. Last year I had a mother possum that got in the house and found her and didn't realize that there were 18 babies. So over the course of the next like a month and a half, I kept finding these possums, and I thought I kept putting them out, and I thought, well, maybe they'll they were getting back in, but no, I started collecting them in a big cat cage, and and then I needed a second one, and then when they were big enough, I let them all go outside. But I still find possum, comes into my being, and learning what it means to actually play possum and all the wonderful things that they do for us. It's, I figured, well, wouldn't, like you said, Gail, maybe it wasn't what I thought would be a totem for me, but obviously it's pretty clear.
I know, they're unexpected. They're also about loyalty, vigilance, and self-defense, or, being protective. And I very much see that in you.
Oh, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
But I've had hummingbirds literally pull me over in my car. Like they come up to my car, and then they're like, and I have to pull over because they're like buzzing at me from the outside. And then I stop, and then they come right up to me in the windshield and just, and like the light, when that light shines off them and they just magically refract. That's something. Hummingbirds are messengers, and they're also about joy.
And making the right decisions, that's for sure. They're beautiful. They're beautiful and so small and magical, and they're
vibrant. They're vibrant. It could be our totem.
That would be
our vibrant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say that.
Living mascot is the hummingbird.
It could be on
hummingbird. That's interesting. It's so funny you should say that. It's great.
Yeah, for the upcoming speaker series, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, I love. By the way, I want to go. Go ahead, Sherry. Go ahead. No. It's cool. Go ahead.
So one thing about visualizing and when before, when I tried to do a guided meditation, and when they're trying to tell you to visualize things, I always had a hard time, and just getting into that I guess meditated visual stance and relaxed way of being. But then once I learned about the transcendental meditation, that's the first time that I actually started truly transcending and visualizing. And I don't necessarily get a lot of visions, but just a lot of colors. The colors are amazing.
Beautiful.
Lots of purples. I see lots of purple. But it's amazing.
You know what the best kind of meditation is, Sherry?
What?
What's the best kind of meditation?
What? What kind?
The one you'll do.
All right. Okay. So what Gail just said. So in relational imagery, and I work with people using awakened imagination together. So the idea is, and Gail's also, you got to do a whole show on medicine bags and talk with Dr. Gail about this. So when I work with couples or people on teams, I have them use a group imagery or a relational imagery. I got one for Valentine's Day you guys are going to love. This is for someone that you want to be in a relationship with forever, this imagery, which I'm going to share next week. It's an imagery that you practice. And what's sort of beautiful is the initial imagery it's a tree of life love imagery. And yes, what happens is you begin to see. So I want to ask you guys about this. So I had this happen last week a few times. I go beyond the veil. So the veil is kind of what we're used to looking at. The veil is what we're used to, what we feel from. And we go beyond the veil. We see something that we've never seen before. And this is in relation to someone I deeply, deeply love. And I saw her beyond the veil. And I'm in this thing, I call it a soul seeing. And I'm so happy because I feel like, oh, my God, I'm seeing her and she's seeing me, and it's beyond the veil. And I go to touch her, and I can feel she receives the touch, and I'm inspired. So inspired imagery happens. And then usually that day and sometimes someone will reflect that to me in tone, the way the clouds part. Like in other words, this begins to give you a relationship to the tree of life. Please share. What's your yes?
No, because that's what happens. You see, when you image something, or even if you image it in a dream, and you really, note what that is, and then you're aware of your life, you'll see it tumbling into reality. And that's what you just said, that it happens.
Yes.
It happens in this reality. You're seeing in the extraordinary reality, and then it tumbles into ordinary reality.
Yes, beautiful, yes. The challenge.
So that's the deal. That's the power of it.
Yes, the power of awakened imagination. I'm glad Lisa. I call you Lisa. That's my beloved daughter's name is Lisa, and so I have a family with Lisa. I slip into Lisa when I say her name. I saw my beloved Lisa, and she. By the way, when she was born, I would call her my heart chakra on wheels. Very close to Lisa, and she's a bull. She's so intense and she's so wondrous, and I've been in close range with my children, and I realized their amplification about unscripted power and totally owning the stage. So I want to acknowledge again, my son was at Harvard with Dr. Cornel West, and being with him, feeling that, because that was his hero, being on the stage like that and owning the stage. And I want to acknowledge Janet Carafa for writing 2 articles, which will be in the OMTimes magazine, about our journey to Carnegie Hall. So look for those, upcoming. And she shares the story of when me and her took the stage, what that was like. Beautiful stuff.
What?
Upcoming. As soon as I have the dates, I will share them. They're on the way to Chris, either today or tomorrow.
Okay.
And then, my vision is to have a 2-page, 2 pages in OMTimes magazine called The Vibrant Living Spotlight. We've only really just begun, and I feel like at moments, you guys ever feel like when something's obvious, you wonder why it wasn't obvious always?
Yeah.
I want to ask you that. What's your experience with that?
Exactly.
I'm thinking, where was I for the last 10 years? Why is it so obvious now? And then I feel confident in a way I never felt confident before.
It was always there, but now you're ready to receive it.
Yeah. Wow, what a lesson in patience.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little impatient with this lawyer I'm working with, and I called to say, why didn't you look into that? And he calls me back. He goes, 4 hours this morning. I've been looking into that. And I said, look, I'm sorry. I know the spirit I said he wasn't a good spirit. I apologize, because I realized it was a spirit of doubt, and he felt it. And so I wanted to make that correction. I said, look, I'm interested in moving forward in a good spirit with you. And I could see I just had doubt, a moment of doubt. Oh, this imagery I'm going to give people for Valentine's Day. You're going to love this imagery. It's so beautiful. There's a whole series that I have for couples or when you want to be with someone. And my teacher, how he taught it was he met his wife, and he held her close every night and all day long. And he said this one thing that always touches my heart. He says, my house was a house, and when my wife was home, it was a home. Right? Yeah. So, and he said one more thing. He said that when he met her, and Rumi says this so beautifully. Rumi says, your lover's only there. You need to feel into your lover. They're not someplace else. That's why I say people got to give up dating. You just relate, see, breathe, take a risk. So we got a new program coming on soon called Beyond. It's called Vibrant Matchmaking, Beyond Dating to Relating. I'll be introducing you guys to new people, and I'm just grateful today. I realized I had a couple of days where it just seemed like so much was happening on the outside to the point of extreme humor. I'm getting my house ready for something, and a fire starts in the kitchen. I go to put it out with the towel. It definitely doesn't go out. And why this is happening, by the way, the whole mass alarm system's going off, and all my neighbors are opening their doors. So I said, I need to be of good cheer now and reassure the neighbors everything's fine in my apartment. I was a good cheerleader. And then it worked out beyond what I worked out. But those moments where the appearance challenges us, right? The appearance. So what they say in the new medicine, is this idea that similar in the imagery, if you burn yourself on the stove as an example, they want you to go back to the stove and put the burner, let's say, on 2 and 3, and then exhale 3 times and release the trauma. See, people get these little traumas and they don't release them. So release, and this, by the way, go right back to dogs. I feel dogs do this all the time. They come up to us and they do something and release the trauma. Like there's something about them. They kind of get it because they're used to the human body and they calibrate the field for us. It's another thing that we got to have a whole, Sherry, we got to have a chapter on this. How if you'll let him, your dog will heal you like right now.
Don't you think they're just completely compassionate?
Wow.
Without
that's beautiful.
Without restrictions whatsoever.
Exactly. They're filled with love and compassion and forgiveness, and they're emotionally stable. Well, not all dogs are emotionally stable, but their compassion is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Your life's precious. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. It's been a blessing being with you guys today. Thank you deeply. Thank you to the audience.
Absolutely.
Thank you for Chris. Yeah. Much love to you guys. I'm Glenn Brooks. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Bye, Sherry. Bye, Lisa.
Bye. Have a wonderful day.